Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of At Home with Jen. And today's topic is around the subject of stress. I think it's fair to say we are all experiencing some form of stress right now. So I have reached out to Officer Stephanie Nassis. She's been a Canadian police officer for over 20 years. Her current role is in the wellness unit for member wellbeing and also a part of the critical incident response and peer support. She has also recently been certified with the FBI National Academy as an Officer Resilience Instructor and trained in Quantico, Virginia. Let's welcome Stephanie. Stephanie, welcome. I'm so thrilled to have you here today. I believe with your background as a police officer with over 20 years of experience in well-being, resiliency, I would love for you to share a little bit more about your background, but I think you are the perfect person to help us today in terms of understanding our stress and coping strategies. So welcome.
Thank you very much. I'm honored to be here. I'm very passionate about mental health and healthy coping strategies. So yeah, more than excited to be sharing here with you. And it's a pleasure meeting you finally.
I know, I'm so excited. The power of digital, social coming together.
Yeah.
So I was sharing beforehand, I want to hear a little bit more too about your background, but I was sharing before I got on with you just that we are all experiencing stress.
For sure.
I don't normally like to make a blanketed statement, but I think in this case, it's fair to say we're all dealing with it in different ways.
Absolutely.
So if you could share a little bit about your background and what are your top insights to help guide us during these challenging times?
Yeah, for sure. So you already mentioned I've been a police officer for about 20 years in a large municipal police agency in Ontario. And my specialty was traffic fatalities. So I investigated traffic fatals. And I did that for many years. So I've seen like all walks of, life that were involved in crashes and, fatals and near death experiences, that sort of thing. So, but yeah, so my specialty eventually after 10 years of being a police officer, I suffered from my own mental health issues as a result of just being in such a high stress job. Where I started to look towards, mindfulness, meditation, all that sort of thing, yoga, and I had to find some healthy coping strategies because the stressors of the job was starting to affect me, and it started to shift my mindset. So we talk about, I mentioned a traffic fatal, so that could be one traumatic incident for a family. But we talk about the pandemic that's going on. This is huge. This is affecting the entire world. Right. And we think about, we hear about natural disasters all over the world, tornadoes, tsunamis, that sort of thing, and how it affects people. If you kind of look at, have you heard of Maslow's hierarchy, the pyramid?
Fill me in.
Yeah, it's
No.
actually really good. I wish I could kind of share my screen, but I don't know if I can. But if everyone were to kind of Google Maslow's hierarchy of needs, we talk about if you just visualize a pyramid, and on the low end of the pyramid, we have our physiological needs that we have, like breathing, food, water, sex, sleep, homeostasis, that sort of thing to survive. We need those functions in order to survive. And then on top of that, the next level would be our safety. So that's, our security, employment, resources, morality, our family, our health, and our prosperity. So just keep in mind, right now, we're all on that lower end of that pyramid that talks about our safety is in jeopardy, right? Essentially, a lot of us are fearing like, oh my God, am I going to get this? Is it going to be life threatening? Is it going to affect my health? So we have to look at that. So, and on top of that, there's, love and belonging, esteem, and then self-actualization. So as we move up that scale, in order for us to have, healthy family relationships, we have to take care of those basic needs first before we're able to develop self-esteem, confidence, achievement, pretty much the basic functions of the prefrontal cortex of our brain, right? Morality, creativity, and stuff. So, and this is affecting each and every one of us. And stress, this is what happens is, based on Dr. Lisa Rankin, Mind Over Medicine, she says that the average person triggers the stress response up to 50 times a day. So just think about how many times we're triggering fight, flight, freeze, right? And we talk about in this stressful time. So it's very normal to feel a little bit more anxiety, to feel less safe, like unsteady, unsure, because it's a very confusing time. And I think that there's no one on the entire planet that is not experiencing this right now. So I think in regards to, signs of increased stress would be, the physical signs would sometimes be something like headaches, muscle tension, chest pain, fatigue, change in sex drive, upset stomach, and then shift in mood. So that can potentially happen as well. Anxiety, restlessness, lack of motivation, feeling overwhelmed, irritable or angry because of the situation. I have noticed so much road rage because there's not as much traffic out there, but the road rage has totally increased. I don't know if you've noticed. I'm driving and like people are cutting me off and I'm like, oh, I think everybody's just so much on edge because of all of this stuff that's happening.
Yeah.
I'm hearing this from a lot of people too. Being at home is difficult. So there might be that potential to overeat or overindulge. So what are they saying? Look at the lineups at the liquor stores, right? The consumption of alcohol, more smoking, social withdrawal, all of these things are affecting us, right? And so those are some of the signs of stress.
Yeah, I was just reading an article, actually, it was in the New York Times about baking and how baking is becoming a form of a coping skill with anxiety. And you could actually go on Twitter and look up stress baking and anxiety baking, and there's a whole thing, the movement around this right now and how we're trying to cope. And you mentioned the different side effects of stress, and my mother is a strong woman. We talked about this before this Zoom, and I'm here in Cleveland with her right now, and I had to venture out for the first time to the stores because we've been getting everything brought in. And I went to the store and I first forgot my mask. Why? Because it's not a habit yet in my brain. I understood that.
Yeah.
Got through what I needed to do. And when I came back, Stephanie, I was so exhausted. I couldn't talk. Like, I didn't realize how pressured I felt from the stress. And stress affects me in a way of fatigue.
Right.
And I was knocked out for the rest of the day. I'm like, that was just way too much for me to cope with. So between road rage and drinking and overeating and fatigue, how do we cope? What do we do?
Absolutely. Yeah. That's very well said. So you know what things I think too, a huge component of this is it's okay to feel what we're feeling. It's completely normal, and to try not to judge ourselves. Like, even for me, lack of motivation to work out. I'm like, oh, I don't feel like, even though I can go downstairs in my basement, I'm not feeling it. And it's okay to not feel that. Like, even though working out is amazing and is probably one of the healthiest coping strategies that we can use, it's okay to have some down days and not be hard on ourselves and not judge for where we're at, just because this is a pretty serious event that's happening. All right. I think too, just creating a goal. So if anyone's at home, 3 goals would be ideal. For some, and it's just, even if it's getting out of bed and putting some clothes on and creating a routine, it's kind of like you're still going to work, but just set some goals for at home. That is one of the tools that you can use for stress management. I love mindfulness, practicing meditation. This is a perfect time to, have some self-introspection, going on YouTube, tons of free stuff in regards to mindfulness and breathing exercises, which are pretty much the automatic reset button, is focusing on our breathing to relax our body, to bring ourselves into the parasympathetic, which is, the opposite of the flight fight response.
So could you give a definition for those that have never experienced mindfulness in a conscious way, perhaps, or under that definition, like, so they understand what is mindfulness? And could you give us an example of like a quick, proper breath so that people know what to look for?
Yeah, for sure. I think there's so many, it's so simple, breathing. So another symptom or sign of someone who is overly stressed is someone who's a chest breather, someone who breathes very shallow. And when I get stressed out, I feel like I'm gasping for air. So just keep in mind that a powerful tool to try would be to simply inhale. They call it the straw technique. So inhaling through your nose and then exhaling through pursed lips. So taking a really deep breath in and then exhaling, just kind of visualizing that you're breathing out through a straw and extending the exhale longer than the inhale. And you can even try it for inhaling for the count of 4 and then exhaling for the count of 7. So that would be one way. I'll show you a technique right now. Inhaling 1, 2, 3, 4, and then exhaling pursed lips. doing that several times, just repeating that even for a minute. All right. And then it's being aware here in this moment of what's going on. So it kind of grounds us automatically, and it reconnects our brain, our outer cortex of our brain. That's what we're doing, is we're, you know, reconnecting with that, bringing ourselves back into our body so we can be in the moment. And that will also trigger that parasympathetic response within our body, automatically resetting and relaxing.
And just doing 3 of those, like I already started to feel my muscles relax.
Yeah. I was, when we're trying to get on the Zooms, I was trying to, I gotta practice my breathing.
Let's be real with everybody. We had some problems with our Zooms, and we were both completely stressed before even getting here, which was kind of ironic and serendipitous, perhaps. But we made it, and now, like, I'm already feeling much looser. So thank you. Any other tips that you can give our community?
Well, you're doing it right now, and that's to have some laughter. Okay, I recommend you reduce your media exposure. Just listen to what you need to listen to. Don't listen to all of the excess, because it can become very stressful. Laughter is the key. Look, we're doing Zoom chat. Call up your friends. Go online. Do, you know, chats with other people. You still need that social setting. So that's very powerful. There's even some research in regards to natural disasters in the world. Those who did have a healthy support network were the PTSD rates were far lower, who did have a stronger support network versus the ones who didn't have any social support. So yeah, I mean, although we might not be able to see people, you know, in like face to face, we always have the ability to do what we're doing now.
So connect.
Yeah, connect, laugh, dance, do things that are fun, right? Like have some challenge, push-up challenge, I don't know, dance challenge.
movement,
Yeah, exactly.
I love that.
Self-care, taking baths, you know, do your own hair. I don't know, fix your hair, curl it like you're going out or something.
I've got an episode about that coming up, so you're going to have to see that. I did seek that out. The psychology of hair and hair self-care right now. We've got you covered. I've got you covered. Okay, so let's talk about those signs that if you said to connect and to have self-care, but say someone's at home and they are feeling really vulnerable, not right, they're not feeling 100%. What are some signs around extreme stress, and what are things we can do to try to alleviate some of that pressure?
Yeah, for sure. So, and there's another a tool that people can go and Google, which would be the mental health continuum. It was actually created for military personnel, originally created by the Canadian National Defense, and then later adapted by the Mental Health Commission of Canada. So Google mental health continuum or whatever internet browser you're using, and you will see 4 different stages of signs, potential signs of when somebody could be reacting or they are going through, you know, a little higher stress times, right? And then it also will give you some tips in regards to what to do. So we have our healthy range when we feel good, normal mood fluctuations, but we're active and we're taking all of the healthy measures to build a resilient reserve. But what happens is during higher stress times, we can become more irritable. You know, some of the stuff I already mentioned, trouble sleeping, low energy, muscle aches and pain, feeling a little bit more anxious than normal, the road rage, that thing, right? And, you know, eventually to the extreme where they have excessive anger or they can become easily enraged. That would be one sign of when we're in that, you know, the extreme of the mental health model. So just keep in mind, you know, they have some great tips in regards to, okay, what can I do if I am feeling a little bit more irritable, would be if you can get some fresh air. You know, if you live in an apartment, go out on your balcony a little bit more, sit out there, practice some breathing exercises there. Now, for some people, because I do peer support too, some people who do suffer from depression, even getting out of bed might be something really tough for them to do. So that's where a goal setting technique would come in, where they say, okay, look, I don't have to do anything. All I got to do today is just get out of bed and go into the living room. And even setting that, and if they were to do it, they get up in the morning, they set their clock, their alarm clock, they get out, they go into the living room and to praise themselves for, okay, I did it. This is excellent. I can do this. And tomorrow I'm going to do this again, but tomorrow I'm going to add a second goal of getting dressed. Tomorrow I'm going to get out of bed and I'm going to get dressed. So setting small goals and giving ourselves praise for each step that we take.
Oh, well said. Thank you for those
Yeah, no
resources
problem.
and for us to understand what to look for in times of need. And for those who want to continue to follow you within our community on social media, where can they find you?
Well, I am on, LinkedIn, Instagram, Stephanie Nassis. Just Google my name and you'll see all the social media accounts that I'm connected with, and my website if they want some more information. I'm available for speaking events after COVID, so might be, who knows how long this is going to be, but yeah, I
You
do
can do
those.
virtual events until
Yeah,
then, virtual speaking
yeah,
events.
for sure.
Exactly.
Yeah.
This has been very helpful, Stephanie. Thank you
Thank you.
so very much for
My pleasure.
coming on today. Thank
My
you.
pleasure.